connected and working. I had to do this twice. You might have gotten 2 emails because the first one didn't connect to LinkedIn.
I did see that.
Yeah. And currently on YouTube, there's 2 live events ongoing. So I have to figure out which one's currently,
which is the one?
which is the one, and delete the other one so people don't get distracted. There we go. Okay, so one is now live and the other one gets deleted forever.
Nice.
There we go. Yeah, so hi everyone. Thanks for joining us on LinkedIn. If you're new here, tell us where you're joining us from, what sort of a clinician you are, and if you are considering becoming a creator, then do let us know. I can see that we are live on LinkedIn.
Lots of people who are either creating or want to create.
Yeah.
And writing LinkedIn posts does count as content creation, by the way, for anyone in doubt.
Articles, LinkedIn posts, blog posts, writing for a magazine.
Yeah. It doesn't have
just
to be
creating. Yeah, that's fantastic. We're going to get into what it takes and loads of really interesting stuff. I think we've kind of already been touching on a few topics. Awesome. I can see a couple of people joining us. Do let us know where you're joining us from, what kind of clinician you are. And if you've got questions, put them in the comments. We'll address them as we go, or perhaps likely at the end of our conversation. But welcome to episode 35 of the Clinician Founder Podcast, where we explore the stories of clinicians who've gone from idea to impact. We dig into how they made their ideas stick and what it really means to be a clinician founder. I'm your host, Dr. Shubhendra Kulshresht, an executive coach, emergency physician, and the founder of the Clinician Founder Actionship, where I help clinicians become the person whose ideas get noticed, backed, and actually implemented, so they can start replacing at least one clinical day's income with the work they've built themselves. If you're ready to go from clinician with ideas to a proper clinician founder, drop me a DM or comment the word actionship and I can send you some details. Now, today's guest is someone who embodies the clinician builder journey in the most modern way possible. I'm joined today by Dr. Oscar Ferguson, doctor-turned-award-winning creator, content strategist, and now co-founder of Deaku, a next-generation creator workspace built to fill the chaos of content production. Oscar's delivered over 100 million YouTube views, collaborated with YouTube Health and the WHO. He's raised over £250,000 from major creators and stepped back from clinical medicine in 2025, building Deaku full-time. In this episode, we'll dive into how Oscar made the leap from doctor to creator to tech founder, the moment he realized that the creator economy needed a new infrastructure, how he validated, raised funding, and launched Deaku, why clinicians uniquely positioned to lead in the creator space and the tech space, and loads more. Let's jump right in. Thanks for joining me today, Oscar. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. And wow, what an intro. That was so slick.
Thank you very much.
Exciting. And hopefully I can deliver some value based on everything that you've just said.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think there's so much to share. I'm really excited to dive into our journey. I can see a couple of people telling us, some people want you to turn your gain up, Oscar. Would that be possible?
Oh, mine? Yeah. Absolutely. Is that better?
Yeah, is that better in the comments?
Hello, testing.
Yeah, that sounds a bit better to me.
Is that better?
I think that should be. Lovely. Thank you very much, oncologists and other creators and clinicians joining us. Thank you for being here.
Amazing.
For anyone that may not know you, Oscar, could you just tell us in brief a little bit about you and then a little bit about Deaku as well, please?
Sure. So I'm a clinician. I graduated in 2020. Quite an interesting time to start. I worked through. We'll go deep into my story in a few minutes, but just as the highlights. So I was a doctor for 5 years. A couple of years in, I joined a video production company as their health content director. Then that spawned Oddity Health, which was our kind of creative agency where we were helping healthcare professionals to succeed online. And out of that spawned Deaku. Essentially, we had a light bulb moment a little over a year ago of this massive gap in the market, these enormous pain points that we were experiencing ourselves, and we were seeing, our clients and our creator community all experiencing the same thing. And Deaku is the solution to that. And yeah, it's been a roller coaster, squiggly career journey for me. And now, as you say, I have left medicine. I left medicine in August. I'm now doing this full time. We've raised around $250,000 in funding. And super excitingly, this morning, we launched our early access. So you can actually use the product now, which is a weird and surreal moment after like so much time building and testing and demoing and yeah. But I know we'll get into all of that, but I hope that's a whistle stop tour for you. Oh, you're muted.
There we go. No tech issues, but human issues today. So before we dive in further, you've got something for health creators in particular, and we dropped the link into the comments on LinkedIn. I'm just going to put that onto YouTube as well. Do you want to just let people know what that's about?
Of course, yeah. So when I joined this video production company, Oddity Village Media, a company built by one of my childhood best friends, Harrison, who taught me everything he knew about content strategies, worked with some of the biggest creators in the world. Our mission with turning all of that strategy and video production skills towards health professionals was to combat medical misinformation, build trust in experts, and contribute to a more informed and healthier world. And Deaku is, it's not just for the health niche, it's for all niches. It's for all creators, marketers, video production teams. But our social mission still remains the same. And the way we're going to be delivering on that is by giving Deaku for free to a really amazing group of health creators who are embodying that mission. So that link that I think you've shared is the application form to, if you're interested in getting Deaku for free for life and joining this community, with this social mission in mind, then please do apply. We've had a lot of people already apply, and this Friday we're going to be making decisions on who's in. And yeah, we're super excited that we're in a position where we can do this. And this is a much more powerful way, I think, of helping clinicians than anything that we've been able to do before.
This is very cool, actually. I mentioned to you before we got started that I'd probably ask you what's been the highlight moment of your journey as a co-founder. But it sounds like I've managed to catch you at just the right time, where you are literally in the middle of a launch and you've just opened up and people can start using the product, and you've had a fantastic raise. And you've got the one thing that is like the hidden elusive thing that all clinician founders and entrepreneurs are kind of looking for, like the traction, right? Like you need the traction with the investors, with the users, with the creators. So I think I want to get into that journey. So how do you take us from how you started off as a clinician, and you kind of mentioned you got this exposure and skills in the production space, but how do you go from that to where you are now? If you were to break it down maybe into like 3 phases, what do they look like?
Yeah, I can't promise 3. It might be 10.
That's fine.
Because I think like many clinicians who end up stepping either aside or just fully away from medicine into health tech or something else completely, it tends to be a really squiggly, organic journey. And mine is exactly the same. So I'll tell the story of how it happened. So as I say, I graduated in 2020, worked all through the pandemic. I actually really enjoyed medicine. I was relieved that I felt good at it and I was able to do a good job. But I think, as many people can relate who worked during that time, I think there was some real underlying sort of building burnout over time. Like the work was getting harder and harder, the staffing was getting shorter and shorter. And in my F3, at the beginning of my F3, which was 2022, I had this string of just horrendous night shifts, which just triggered burnout and kind of an existential crisis. Like I was really started questioning my future in the NHS. And, I joined LinkedIn. I thought, I'll just get a job in health tech. And, not knowing that I was very much like at the top of the Dunning-Kruger curve of like maximum confidence and zero knowledge. And luckily I just started talking to lots of different people. And one day I had this light bulb moment where, I'd seen how harmful medical misinformation had been all through the pandemic, not just on patients, but on their families as well. Like genuinely, sometimes patients denying that COVID even existed while, on the maximum oxygen and, dying from it. And I had this light bulb moment, actually partly from a post that I read on LinkedIn from Dr. Vishal Varani, who is the head of YouTube Health for the UK, about YouTube Health and these clinicians making content, combating this medical misinformation and building up health literacy on a global scale. And I had this light bulb moment where I realized I needed to get involved with this. I think this was going to be like it was going to scratch the creative itch that I had, and be able to have an enormous impact beyond just what I was doing in the hospital. And luckily, my childhood best mate Harrison, while I was off getting doing my undergrad, doing postgrad medicine, and working as a doctor, he was building this really successful video production company, working with many of the biggest creators in the world. As a strategist, as a video producer. Harrison is the one responsible for the 100 million views on long form alone. And I sat him down one day. I gave him a glass of whiskey. I put the Dune soundtrack on. This was my attempt at. Oh gosh, I can't actually remember what it was. Maybe a Glenfiddich. I actually can't remember. Okay. Harrison might know. I don't think he enjoyed it. He's not a whiskey fan. But he suffered through it, and he suffered through my pitch. And then he hired me as his health content director. And
wow.
I asked him to teach me everything he knew about content strategy and video production, so we could direct that towards healthcare professionals. And that was fantastic. That led to great relationships with. Yeah. You were going to ask something.
Yeah, I just have a question.
That's phase one, by the way.
That's phase one, and that's really interesting because so you got into LinkedIn, and like most people are like, of course, I can bridge the gap between health tech and medicine. Like as a doctor, that's like the obvious thing that most of us see, and that was like the peak of your Dunning-Kruger curve. What happened once you started, and then you met your friend and you started working with them, and you started to learn all these things? What was the shift like for you?
I think it was from that moment. Once I had that light bulb moment of like, oh, actually, I feel so drawn to this. I think that was a big shift in my mindset, where I wasn't just thinking. And also, I'd figured out by this point that health tech is incredibly broad, and there's so many different roles within it. By this point, I'd also spoken to just loads of people on LinkedIn. Anyone who would have a video coffee with me, I was just saying yes to all these meetings and meeting all these amazing clinicians that were doing jobs that I just had never even heard of. And yeah, that shift towards like following more what kind of gave me energy and joy. I know that might sound a bit wishy-washy to some, but really, from the moment I started working for this video production company with Harrison, and working with all these creators and making content myself, I started feeling that my day job, like my medical job, because I was still working like 75% at this point, I was starting to feel that the medical job, each of those days was kind of draining my physical and cognitive and emotional energies. And then I'd have these days of just like pure creation and, ideas and just so much fulfillment. And that would kind of top up my energy to then have it then reduce again on the hospital days. It did mean that I actually felt like I was a better doctor for it, because I had so much more energy and fulfillment. And obviously I was writing and making lots of health content, so that I think actually helped me become a better doctor as well. But yeah, that was an important shift for me. And I think with health tech, I mean, from that moment, I knew I wanted to be in content strategy, whether that be for health creators or beyond. Yeah, I hope that makes sense.
It absolutely does. What does health content strategy actually even mean? And like, you must have imagined other people, like you mentioned, had amazing jobs that you'd never even heard of. That kind of sounds like one of them. How do you make that work for yourself? What does it mean
to be a health creator?
A strategist.
Well, I mean, as a content strategist, essentially it's all the kind of behind the scenes of in our case, video production. It's aligning a lot of the kind of marketing strategies, video production strategies, all these things that, as clinicians, we really don't know, and a lot of content creators actually don't know. Although it's an art form, there is a lot of science to it as well. My undergrad was neuroscience, so I think that was also why I was particularly drawn to, things about the science of attention and what actually, makes a video do well over others. Obviously I was really interested in this because at that time I was so focused on helping clinicians make content that could compete with the misinformation that was doing so phenomenally well, and still does to this day, getting millions of views, because it's so good at grabbing people's attention. People are very, very willing to exchange their attention and time to consume this stuff. So yeah, I mean, and to be a health creator, I'd actually say health as a niche is one of the most challenging niches, if not the most challenging niche to do well in. And there's quite a few reasons for that, not just because of the misinformation. All these creators who are utilizing great content strategy to get this awful information out there. But also things like, it's so hard it's actually really difficult to sustain creation as a health creator. I think it's arguably harder for health creators to monetize, for instance. I think a lot of people are very focused on, obviously all health creators have fantastic social missions, and that's brilliant. That's a great driver. And, those that do really well also, I think, have the similar experience to me, where they actually get a lot of fulfillment and energy from the creative process. But really, those who can sustain it the longest are those who are able to actually kind of turn it into a bit of a commercial mission as well, and actually, make money from creating content. Because if you're able to do that, you can, take more days per week to actually make content. You can invest in creating better content, but you can't do that without the right content strategy. Ad revenue as well is something that I think obviously a lot of creators, that's kind of like their dream, ad revenue or sponsored revenue. And for health creators, that is particularly difficult because obviously you are a professional online, and that you have to be very, very careful about what sponsored content and these kind of arrangements you're dealing with, because we're seeing this problem a lot at the moment with in the health niche of creators pushing supplement brands that aren't clinically proven, and it's very challenging.
It's tricky. And I
that's
think
not to put anyone off, by the way, because you can absolutely do well online, as evidenced by how many health creators are doing so well.
One of the things that, and this is to just kind of say, everyone's kind of think like, oh my God, my GMC license is on the line. But really, you on a day-to-day basis face the public and give advice that is proven, that is evidence-backed. And there's a way to deliver things that are in line with GMC guidelines, and they've really supported that. So I agree. There's huge challenges, but also huge opportunities. Okay. Let's move on to the next phase of your journey. What happened after that bit?
Yeah, so we started making health content. I started my channel, I made probably 50 videos, had an absolute blast doing it. We started working with health creators on their content strategy, worked with a few health tech businesses on their content strategy as well, which was really, really fun. But about sort of August last year, I think particularly because of the production side, production costs becoming so competitive with the rise of like AI video and audio generation as well, we were kind of looking at our finances to try and like basically solve our own problems, and we realized we were spending like £450 a month on this messy stack of disconnected tools, and many of our clients and the creators in our community were all in the same boat. Some of them were actually spending thousands per month on software, and we basically just had this light bulb moment. Again, this is light bulb moment number 2, where we realized we need to fix this. So we started fixing it for ourselves. We built our own like video review system to replace one of these tools, and it was amazing because we built it specifically for content creators, and we were able to add in all these things that we felt that the other systems were missing. And then we had this idea of like, oh, why don't we just bring everything that creators need into one space? And then it started snowballing. Like, okay, well, if everything's in one space, all the data can be within one cloud, so everything's connected. There's no switching between tabs and having problems with permissions. And then we realized we could have a context-aware AI that's aware of your specific workspace, your specific strategy, your videos, your video performance. And we ended up actually mocking up a kind of dashboard of what this might look like in Illustrator. And I think it was about October last year, I had my first talk at Google to an audience of health creators. And I showed this mock-up, and like the reaction was like just so validating. Like everyone was like, okay, when's this coming out? Obviously at the time I didn't know that it was November next year, but
wow.
like they're really
that
excited
is quick
to see it. Yeah, I mean, well, it's just over a year of actually getting it to this point. And that was all the validation we needed to kind of just go all in on this. And we continued a little bit of the Oddity Health stuff, but we knew that we'd be able to deliver so much more value to these health creators with Deaku, and impact the entire creator economy at large. There's 200 million content creators in the world, plus marketing and video production teams who can all benefit from this, to the point where now I'm skipping a phase, but we've built a product that helps, like genuinely helps you grow faster, create better, and earn more with your creation. And we're able to help health creators with it as well, because we're giving it to so many of them for free.
And within that, as you're saying that, I'm hearing so many like bits of testing for that resonance. Is this the right thing? Is this the right direction to head in? Are we building on the right thing? It's not just like within you, it's just like an idea that you're kind of perfecting with ChatGPT on the side. You started off in this room at YouTube with creators in the space, so you have the right people there, then you've got the backing of investors, then you've actually got a product that people are signing up for, like huge amounts of traction there. And I want to get into how you actually built that traction, but this might actually be a good moment for us to kind of show people what Deaku looks like. Shall we try and do that?
We can try. Yeah.
Or
how do
at
you
least your
that?
website.
You can share my website.
I could share your website. Walk us through it. Let me screen
do you want to
share.
Can you share your screen? I didn't realize that you could do this.
Absolutely. If you'd like to share, you can. But I've got your website up here. Let's do this.
Hang on.
Podcasts of the future.
Yeah.
There we are.
Oh, you've got it. There we go.
I've got it.
Hang on a second. Yeah.
There we go.
So this is it. And anyone who's watching this can you can go to this website as well, deaku.app. It is the workspace and community for creators, marketers, and video producers. We've made some unbelievably good tools that can replace your entire workflow, essentially. Plus, there's loads of extra stuff that we've built in there that are completely new to the market. This is just a comparison table of everything that's in there. We've got that's a little teaser of the dashboard. That's your overview of all the data within your workspace. So the way that Deaku's arranged, you've got users, and then each user has like workspaces, and with workspaces you'll be able to connect all your different social channels. You can align your team. You can invite your team in for free. You can align your strategy, all your videos, your canvases, which is our kind of markdown writing document tool. Your calendars in there as well, and Deaku Assistant, which is our AI that we have trained on all of the production and content strategy documents that we built, and Harrison built, over many years of working in the creator economy. It's not just aware of obviously all of that training, but it's also aware of your specific workspace data. So it can give you support that's way, way more powerful than any like GPT, Gemini, LLM alternatives. That's a little teaser of our video review system, and that's Rob Landez. So he's one of our he was our first content creator that we demoed to, who then ended up investing in us. He's got about 10 million followers. We've since had more creators join as investors, which again, that's more traction and validation. Having going and demoing it to content creators, and then at the end of the call, them saying, "Can we get involved? Can we get on the cap table?" And that's super validating. And then if you scroll down, you'll see our AI video review system. So if you can't wait for your team or your friends or your creator community to give you feedback before you publish, Deaku can actually watch your videos for you. And I won't tell you the secret of how it works because it's pretty cool, but basically it gives you time-stamped comments on your edit. It gives you a retention potential heat map, so it will tell you which points of your video you might have audiences dropping off in your video. As many of you listening will know, viewer retention is really important as a signal to these algorithms that your video is high in value, so it will start showing it to other people. This is a demonstration of our chat systems. You've got workspace chats for your different workspaces, groups, direct chats, and for early access we have our founding partner community, so anyone who joins now will be in this exclusive group with us, Deaku founders. That's our canvases, which are collaborative documents for ideating, script writing. Again, Deaku assistant's in there and is aware of all your strategy and your videos and your writing style, so it can help you in that way. And then what have we got next? That's our Deaku assistant. You can also just chat with it as you would normally with an LLM. We actually have I'm going to get onto the AI philosophy in a minute, but this is a teaser of some of the future things, because obviously we want to help people earn more. One of those things is going to be helping people get jobs. It's not just creators, but all creator economy professionals. People will invite their editors, their strategists, their managers into their workspaces. So we want this to be a hub for also just finding work and hiring people as well. And this is a teaser of the analytics tool. So once you've connected your socials, we will be releasing this soon. So it'll pull in all your analytics from your socials, and that will also go into Deaku Assistant's knowledge and help keep you aligned. So that's the landing page.
Brilliant. Wow.
There's more. There's more down there as well, but I'll let anyone watching just browse that in their own time.
Yeah.
Gosh, thanks for that. That was quite like a rapid
whistle
pitch deck
stop
where you were controlling it going through.
Sorry, it's like next.
Yeah,
there's just so much in there. And as a creator myself, I think this makes a lot of sense for me. I think I'm imagining I've got like a whole document of like my story brand, collection of my own stories, like what are the frameworks, a list of hooks, the kind of content I create, and I'm like always kind of constantly trying to pull it together. And then I've got like ManyChat, I've got Instagram, I've got some long form in the podcast, and it's like, wow, having that in one place and actually something that understands the context and doesn't constantly keep interfering with what I'm trying to achieve.
Absolutely. It's all about connection. It's not just not just connecting with other people in the community and other creators and learning from them and growing with them. It's just having everything in one place, having all this stuff connected. And you said you've got like a big list of hooks. You could have that as canvases, as documents within your workspace, and because the Deaku assistant is aware of everything that you've written in your workspace, in your canvases, it knows your strategy. You'll find that your hooks will markedly improve because it just knows you so well. And of course, it's trained on our own content strategy training documents. So you can have conversations with it and you ask it, what is packaging? What is a hook? What makes a good hook? And it knows what works for the biggest creators in the world, because it's the same strategy that Harrison's been using for years.
That's fantastic. Now, here's the bit that I want to really get into for value for this podcast, for people who are potentially clinician founders. I mean, people listening to this are also people who have been seeing a problem over and over and over, either clinically in their workflow or something around the way things are done in their life. And they're like, oh my God, I just have the perfect idea for this app. If we build it, it'll be so good. It'll be so amazing. And the adage of like, if you build it, they will come. But you build it and they don't come. And you don't get investors, and you don't get people what is your take on being successful with that piece, about the traction, about when do you build, when do you get investors, how do you actually take that idea in your head into something tangible and real?
Yeah. So it's not a quick process. As I said, we came up with this idea in like August last year. And so it's been over a year of building. And that's not just been like a straight roadmap. It wasn't like a year ago we knew, okay, this is exactly how Deaku has to look, and then we've just spent a year building it. It's actually been so many iterations over time, like building stuff and then showing it to people, and okay, this doesn't really work, and then iterating and changing things. A lot of founders say this, but failing forward is like a core philosophy for success. I think like removing the fear of failure and taking more risks and just building stuff and testing stuff and showing it to people is so important. Like understanding, I mean, it also comes back to content strategy as well. There's so many different overlapping skill sets that have led us to where we are now. But understanding that, from a content strategy point of view, we need to really understand our audience for Deaku, like the people who are going to be using it. And part of that is showing Deaku to people as much as possible. And that's what we've been doing since I showed it at YouTube last year. I couldn't tell you how many creators we've shown this to and demoed it for. And obviously in the last sort of 6 months, as we've really started getting to a product that works really well and looks great and does what we want it to, some of those creators have started turning into investors, which is obviously the best kind of validation that you could possibly get, because they're not just helping us with cash, but also they're validating the product with their team, they're using it, they're testing it, and they'll be promoting it as well. So
would you be open to sharing your content strategy for the launch of Deaku? Like,
oh gosh, it's actually, it's
feel free to say no.
Detailed.
I can only imagine.
So it's in an enormous whiteboard.
Okay,
but it does actually, like, the fundamentals of it. I talk about this actually as well in the course that's in Deaku, that you can actually take it with even just with a free account. You can take our course. But the fundamental questions of the content strategy remain the same, and anyone can use these. And actually, if you sign up to Deaku, it actually works with you to generate your content strategy using all the questions that we have used for years to build content strategies for other people. The first place to start with any content strategy is with your social and commercial mission. You need to write down exactly what those two things are. And I've already told you what our missions are with Deaku. We've got our social mission, which we're fulfilling with the health creators. We have our commercial mission, which is obviously having a much broader reach and actually becoming the backbone of the creator economy. We want Deaku to be the logical place for all creators to start, because it's the most empowering and an easy and intuitive place to start. And also we just want all other creators to be using it because it's because of its value to those people. So once you've done your social mission and your commercial mission, then you can work out who your target audience is. What audience do you need to fulfill those missions? And then from there, work out, you can write this down. We've done it, we have an enormous document, but you can do it very simply. Ask yourself, what value do these audience members want? Value is so important with content, because ultimately all sort of video content, written content online, there's a value exchange. But rather than your audience paying money, they are instead paying with their attention and their time. And people are spoilt for choice online these days with how they can spend their time and attention. It's a finite and incredibly valuable resource, which means that the value in your content that you're putting out needs to justify that expense. And there's ways of of framing that value as well, because just like a a product that you'd have on the shelf, a video on YouTube's suggested page needs to have great packaging. It needs to grab people's with curiosity, with clarity and context of what the video is going to be about, so that if people click on it, they're not going to be disappointed because the video is not delivering on what you're promising them. And then packing that content with value. There's a lot of there's three types of value. Stop me if I'm boring you. I just love talking about content strategy.
Super interesting. Yeah.
There's three types of value you can have with content. You can have it as value in information, value in entertainment, or the kind of sweet spot for health content is infotainment. That's where we see videos do the most well, when the health creators are kind of creating videos with that mindset. And when I say infotainment, I don't mean like talking about a health concept and
while juggling.
Hilarious. Yeah, or juggling. Actually, do you know what? I'd watch that.
So would I.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be like funny, haha entertainment. Entertainment can be, in the same way that like a documentary is super entertaining, but not because it's funny. It's entertaining because of the storytelling and like the emotion that the audience feels. So packing your content with value in infotainment is a really important thing. I'm going to stop myself there because I'm just going to end up monologuing about content strategy.
No, this is super cool. I've been taking some notes. And so essentially starting with your commercial and social mission, then defining who your audience is, figuring out what is the value that they want, and delivering it in one of those three categories, and really focus in on the packaging. And under the packaging, you very subtly mentioned three things, which I caught on, which was curiosity, clarity, and context. Of like, okay, what are we talking about? Why should you watch it? And how do I deliver it very clearly? I think golden pearls there.
Yeah, packaging is so important. Because if you're not getting people to click on your video, so if it's like a long form video on YouTube, you're trying to get people to click on it. And remember, you need to stand out in that market of other videos that YouTube is suggesting to them. But if it's a short form video, like on Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, the packaging is instead those first few seconds, like the hook. Because remember, people, I'm sure you've done this as well, I do this. Your finger is hovering for any excuse to swipe. So you need to create that curiosity, and then give that clarity and context of what this video is going to be about in those first few seconds, so that people stick around and don't leave disappointed. Clickbait. A lot of people ask me this about packaging, like, oh, isn't just making a really grabby thumbnail, isn't that just clickbait? It's clickbait if you don't deliver on the promise that you're making with that packaging. Otherwise, anything's pretty much fair game. If you look at Mr. Beast's packaging on his videos, he'll have like gold plated plane and like loads of shiny things, and I wouldn't actually describe that as clickbait, because although there's not a gold plated plane in his video, the kind of the promise he's making in that value, like, okay, this is going to be enormously entertaining, like big scale, I think he fulfills that promise, so it's not clickbait. It's an invitation, and saying like a big board of saying like, we sell groceries, and you actually sell groceries. That's not clickbait. I guess. It's not clickbait,
right? Yeah.
That's a good analogy.
Like, I went to Tesco but found Morrison's inside.
Exactly. So I mean, obviously there's a lot more depth to that. There's a reason why we have like thousands of pages of content strategy documents that we've trained our AI on, because it goes a lot deeper than that. But those are some really essential places to start, figuring out what value your audience want, because that's where you can start building community and building trust by giving tons and tons of value for free with your content. And a lot of, I think, businesses or people who are a bit more like focused on the commercial mission. A lot of the time when they fail is they're making too many asks of their audience compared to how much value they're giving. It's something that's it's a difficult line to walk down, but generally you need to be giving much more value compared, like, as a ratio. It needs to be like 3 or 4 times the value to every ask that you're making of people, like, oh, visit our website for this, or I can go into more detail on that, but
Gary
that's
Vee
an
and his
important
jab
thing.
Gary Vee's jab and hook and all of those bits. One of the conversations I keep having with a lot of clinician founders is, how much do I give away? And like, what if I give away too much? Then, I would have solved the problem. They won't need my product and they won't buy my services. What do you say to them?
How much do you give it? What, in terms of value?
Yeah. Like, how do you decide what to give away and what to put behind a paywall, or when do you charge them?
I honestly think don't hold back on the value. Give all of it. Like, if you've got, like, I don't know, if your product that you're trying to funnel people towards is like a course or a coaching service or anything like that, still just put everything that you know out in terms of content, because I guarantee people aren't going to watch all your content, and those that do, they will have built such a great parasocial and trusting relationship with you that they're much more likely to then move down from that awareness to consideration to conversion phase. Don't hold back. Put it all out. If you look at some of the the most successful strategists in the world, they put out loads of videos on content strategy, and they don't hold back, like, secrets. And they do really well, because that value is what builds the community and moves people down that funnel.
This is beautiful. I was just talking about this yesterday with somebody, and we were saying that on most social media, you'll see loads of people who have thriving businesses, millionaires, billionaires, who are still taking out the time to create content and put it out on social media, to be in front of people, because that's the value of visibility, of being heard. And actually, that's when the traction begins. Like, without being heard, without being seen, you're kind of invisible. And no matter how good your idea is, it's not going to be adopted. And as a founder, like, that's what you want at the end of it. So, I mean, to me, I was saying this earlier as well, was that there really isn't a separation anymore between being a founder and being a creator. You have to be a creator to be a founder. I don't know what your take on that is.
Yeah, 100%. And I've seen this a lot with other founders that I've met over the last couple of years. You see it. Those that aren't creating, again, I said this earlier, creating can just be making LinkedIn posts. Like, that is a form of content creation, and actually the strategy and the algorithm works very, very similarly on LinkedIn to any other platform, because their goal is the same, is to keep people on the platform for as long as possible. Those founders that are creating stuff, putting stuff out there, they're the ones that end up building the audience, building the traction, moving people down that funnel, and attracting investment. Like, really, there's no way we would have got the investment that we have had I not been creating content. I mean, obviously part of that is the social proof that we are creators, we're strategists, but showing going out there and doing panel talks and giving keynotes and speaking on podcasts like this, like, it's absolutely essential to any founder, to any business, to have that personal brand.
Amazing. This has been such a beautiful journey and such a nice deep dive into how you got to Deaku. One of the things I didn't tell you about before starting the podcast is, at the end, I tend to swap over and give you the mic and let you ask me any questions. So if you've got about 10 minutes or so, we can do that.
Yeah.
Is that
absolutely.
okay?
Yeah. I'm just going to think of some questions.
Whatever you'd like to ask me. I'm literally going to swap us around on the screen. There we go.
Nice.
The mic is yours.
Yeah. I don't know if you're going to want to answer this, but I'm just trying to think of what would be really valuable for people watching. Here's a question.
Yeah.
That maybe we've touched on a little bit. What have been your challenges and struggles as a creator?
Oh.
Can I ask you that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's only fair. I mean, I've grilled you for like the last 40 minutes, 45 minutes, so it's only fair. Um, oh my God, so many challenges. I think, like many people, I was like a lurker on LinkedIn, just kind of observing and having these conversations, like a lot of coffee chats. Um,
Mm.
I think it was interesting when I got into creating content only happened when there was clarity of what I was working towards. Like, what was my end goal? What was I trying to achieve? Until I didn't know that, I didn't find myself motivated enough to create content. No matter how much I studied about it, no matter how much, like I said, oh, I'm going to do like 3 times a week. Just didn't happen. But the
Yeah.
moment there was like, oh, this is the reason. Like, this is where it fits in. It immediately just happening. Started happening.
Mm.
Um, One of the big challenges was consistency. So it was the reason I went from like trying to do 3 times a week to actually doing daily. Because if
Mm.
for me, it was like all or none. I either do it every day or I don't.
Mm.
And it was one of those things. But I think so stages of challenges. I think the first bit is
Mm.
like figuring out the consistency, the workflow. But then there's a point at which that starts happening faster. Like you start editing your videos faster, you kind of get
Yeah.
an idea, and then you build your workflow. So like the podcast becomes articles, becomes Instagram, becomes whatever. You get a bit of a
Mm-hmm.
flywheel, and that kind of gets
Mm-hmm. A
going.
content engine, we call it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that starts happening, and then it becomes really fun, right? You're like, oh, I could do
Yeah.
this and this and this, and it's just like, oh, you're just like sitting in bed in like 2 minutes, you're done. It's really
Yeah.
interesting. But then that's the point at which it finally starts to go like, okay, I'm doing all of this. Is it taking me in the direction I want to take it, want it to take me? And that's like a whole new world, like you were saying, the whole strategy and everything else behind
Mm.
it. And there's so many layers, and because one is connected to the other, it's like, just over the weekend, I've like revisited my story brand framework and like,
Mm-hmm.
clarified my words, what am I working towards, and all of those bits. And it's like, oh my God, I got to go back through all of these things and like update that. Um, so I think that can be a little bit of a challenge, but like I've spent 2 days on it now, and now I've come out the other side with a lot more clarity. And
Amazing.
for me right now, the challenge is probably scaling. Um,
Mm.
like I think I'm happy with the content I'm creating, in terms of like what it feels like to me, how easily I can do it. But
Mm-hmm.
externally, I think there's a lot of work to be done for how it's received, um, and
Mm.
and I think that'll reflect in the engagement, the community that forms around the content, and then
Yeah.
eventually the viewership as well. So
Yeah.
I feel like LinkedIn's grown fantastically for me. I love where I am there,
It
and
has. You're
Instagram's,
smashing
yeah.
it.
Oh, thank you. It's been really good, and but Instagram's something I've just hopped onto like a month ago, and
Yeah.
that's going through that journey as well. So yeah, I don't know if that kind of answers your
Amazing.
question, but
Oh, it really does, and I'm so pleased that you said all of that, because I think what you've described is really the classic creator journey.
mm,
Starting with, obviously I said earlier about how important it is to lay out your missions,
yeah,
but obviously it can take time to find that clarity of what that is,
yeah,
and that's okay. That's part of the journey, and obviously the way I was able to find my clarity, and I'm sure you can relate to this, is just by testing things and talking to people, and kind of, another content strategy term we use is throwing the spaghetti at the wall, and this kind
mm,
of applies to your broader strategy and recipe overall, is just throwing stuff out there and seeing
yeah,
what sticks, and then periodically reviewing that strategy and that plan, that story, the ingredients that make up your content, the
mm,
value that you're giving, and yeah, going back through and making adjustments. That's completely normal, and all the biggest creators in the world have done that many times over.
yeah.
And I try not to just shift into just selling Deaku now, but like, that's
This
partly
is
why we
not a
built
sponsored episode.
it's not a sponsored episode. That's partly why we built our strategy planner in the way that we have, that it walks you through the steps to set up your fundamentals, the lay the
Mm,
foundations of a great content strategy to start with, but it's also got functionality to update that over
yeah,
time. Change your recipe, change your posting schedule, change the way that you're writing, or change all these
mm,
different things that actually every creator needs to do over time. But I think too few really know that it's how to do it and
Yeah.
how necessary it is. But that is something that we've built in. And I think, you know, as I said earlier, our 3 goals are to help people grow faster, create better, and earn more. And you know, the growing faster in that sort of scale that you were talking about, of, you know, starting to build into a content engine, where, you know, you can kind of turn one piece of content into many other pieces of content. That's so powerful as a tool, particularly when you're in terms of efficiency of time. And obviously Deaku helps you with that because of its project management and posting and all that stuff. And podcasts are so powerful, obviously when done right. You know, video, a lot of people will ask me about how to start podcasts, and all of them I say, you've got to do video as a first and foremost, because, you know, the discovery algorithms, although they're, you know, Spotify and these different channels are starting to make improvements, the discovery algorithms for audio podcasts only are just not good enough. Like, you have to be recording it on video, and ideally, if you can, turning the long form video episodes into lots of other pieces of content, like having the, you know, 10-15 minute highlight videos on another channel, having shorts, you know, your sort of minute, 2 minute shorts that go on to, you know, use TikTok and Instagram and YouTube shorts and Facebook as your kind of top of funnel awareness to move people down. So yeah, I'm really pleased that you basically just hit the nail on the head of just describing the creator journey there.
The journey. Yeah. It's definitely a challenge, and it can get frustrating. But there's so much out there to learn, and there's so many tools to assist you, as with Deaku. And it's I think one of the things I often say, and I was just saying this to another client yesterday, was that your voice and your presence and your visibility is going to be one of the biggest assets a business has. And I think too many clinician founders don't take it seriously enough early on. And they want to outsource it, get a ghostwriter, you know, just pay for some ads and hopefully that'll fill it. But that's not the world we're in anymore. People don't buy just because they've seen it. They buy because they really resonate and they believe in those values and their shared mission. And that needs to be visible, and that opportunity for them to see it needs to be there.
People buy much more emotionally. They buy from connection these days. Like the way to, you know, paid ads, although that, you know, there's still some merit to them, really the secret that I think more and more businesses are starting to realize is that content marketing is really the secret, where you can organically reach your target audience with the right content, provided that you're structuring it in the right way, delivering value to your audience. You know, that shifts your spend from paid ads to just putting out amazing content. And that's how you build community and trust and really reliably move people down that funnel. And so that they're happy making a purchase
and
decision.
And it's not linear. It's not like you get from ST3 to ST8 and then you CCT and then you have all of these perks unlock in a new life. No, it's like, it literally is like, you know, 1 week you're taking 3 hours to edit a video. Next week you've done like 3 videos in like 20 minutes and it's like boom, and it's whoa, it is exponential. The growth is exponential, and the time you put in pays off so quick.
Absolutely. Yeah. It is absolutely not a straight path. And that's, you know, obviously I didn't work through all of my phases, but the squiggly career is in such stark contrast with everything that you know from medical school and working as a doctor. Like, you do this and then you get this, and it's just a, you know, a straight train track for most people. And actually, you know, my decision to leave medicine overall, you know, that was something that I struggled with, was the kind of identity of being the doctor, of being on this path. But I'm so glad that I made that decision. And it did take these few years of the squiggliness, of talking to lots of people, realizing that you can just step off the tracks and actually you could be much more fulfilled in doing so. And you can keep medicine alongside. You know, I left in August. I was doing this on the side for a couple of years. I had the train track just there next to me, but I was doing all this really fun stuff on the side, which was much more fulfilling.
Yeah, make medicine your side hustle, right? Like, why limit
Exactly.
your impact to just medicine?
100%.
Amazing. I'm so grateful for you being here today, Oscar. Um,
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna say that that's it for today's episode. A huge thanks once again, Dr. Oscar Ferguson, for joining us and sharing
A
such an
pleasure.
honest, energizing look at what it takes to go from NHS doctor to full-time founder in the creator economy. I've got a bit of an outro as well. So if today's conversation sparked something for you, whether you're starting a content channel, building a product, or finally taking your idea seriously, make sure you're following the podcast on YouTube and Spotify so you don't miss future episodes. Don't miss the next live episode on Tuesday, 2nd of December at 11:45 a.m. once again, where I'll be joined by Dr. KP Balan, a brilliant clinician, a friend, and a renowned AMC tutor all the way from Australia. So we'll be talking about the pathways to get to Australia, the business of tutoring and education, and how KP built a trusted brand helping doctors pass the AMC exams. It's going to be practical, inspiring, and full of insights for anyone building a niche-based business. Also, once again, a massive thanks to Dr. Akash Vijayan for the intro music of his podcast. Check out his work on Spotify and SoundCloud. Until then, keep building, stay bold, and remember, you have the power to create something extraordinary. See you soon.
Take care. Thanks.